I wanted to talk a little bit about a recent fascination of mine. And that is, it's basically grown-up Star Wars. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, it's the Warhammer 40K universe. It's really, the lore behind it is so fucking interesting. You know, it is a grim, dark sci-fi future where just everything sucks. Everything sucks. There's no hope, there's no good, there's no redemption, there's nothing but war and pestilence and slaughter and misery and depression. And when everything sucks and there's no good guys, everything it's like Darth Vader. You know, Darth Vader like, everybody loves Darth Vader because he's fucking cool and he's a badass, and like, everybody, like, people like the villain because the villain's cool. Well, when everybody is the villain, everybody's cool. Now, that being said, some people are certainly more evil than others. You know, you have races such as the Dukari, like the Dark Eldar, which are basically the dark elves of this sci-fi fantasy world. They literally is just a gigantic torture cult of just bondage and torture and awfulness, and it makes your skin crawl. But then you also have the Imperium of Man, which is effectively like the Roman Empire in space, you know, and it's just like, you learn about how their military gets like you have like your general soldiers and your normal soldiers, and how inadequate they are in comparison to like the quote unquote space marines, and like what somebody has to go through to become a space marine is just egregious, and just the untold like millions of casualties going on in each individual battle of this grimdark fantasy. And then you learn about things like hive cities and how and just like the inequity and just how awful it is, but in how awful it is, there's also a level of freedom that would have never be possible anywhere else in the galaxy. And then you have people like the orcs, which are basically blumbering fools that loved battle, and they the only reason they haven't taken over the galaxy is because they fight each other as much as they fight everybody else, and they literally, all their stuff works through the power of imagination, and it's wacky. And you have groups like the Tau, which are just basically Gundams in space, so that's badass too. But they despite having a philosophy of something called the greater good, and they appear to be good guys on the surface, there's like everybody's is brainwashed basically into being a slave to the machine. So it's like no better than anything else. And unlike Star Wars, which only has about 4,000 years of solid lore, and not all of it's fleshed out, and it's not super deep in every single case, the Warhammer 40K universe has tens of thousands of years of lore. In books and books and books and books, and videos and video games, and on top of, and all this amazing lore and background and just deep story building that Star Wars could only really dream of having, all stems from a tabletop miniatures game. And if you appreciate good writing and good lore, and I will also say the lore is so expansive and vast that even the lore that was written itself contradicts itself because of how old this universe is and how awful people are at maintaining records within that universe. So it's all open to interpretation. Like there's no true quote unquote canon. You know, things are only as canon as multiple sources line them up, you know? So like if multiple sources don't line up the same way across multiple different things, it's hard to justify it being the actual history, you know? So it's like people fight over the history of this universe, like historians fight over the history of Earth, you know? So there's so much meaty content here that, like, if you just are looking for something to, like, a world to just drown in terms of just like learning about a fantasy, and you're somebody who really appreciates good writing and good reading, go check it out. There's plenty of YouTube videos, hour-long YouTube videos that just go into detail and just tell stories, and it's I mean, if you're working from home and you're doing anything that like you can just listen to something as you're working, and you don't really need to like be completely there what you're working on, it's just a repetitious job, or it's just like something very simple that's intuitive to you, give some of these videos a listen. It's really, really, really cool. And I'm never gonna join the tabletop game because it costs like $3,000 to get started, and I don't have anybody to play with, and I don't like feel the need for that. I mean, I might pick up a miniature or two if I feel like I want to like paint something cool and like stick it on a shelf or whatever, but I'm not spending $15 on like a tiny little thing, you know. And some of the bigger ones are even more expensive, and that's, to me, it's just not worth it. But the lore itself, you can get books online, there's videos online, it's super freaking interesting. And if you've been kind of frustrated with Star Wars and their handling of it, this is right up your alley. I highly consider going to go check it out.